spoken, but what I could add on is whilst we empower the learners, the educators themselves also need to be empowered. So that's where we come in. We do care for the learners, the students, the whole, all of them, but it's also that entire ecosystem that we are creating. So that's why I spoke so much about professional development and investments in teachers. That's why we take so much of efforts to do the workshops. We give the best to the schools, to the educators, then they are able to give the best to the students. So back when I showed that slide about inclusive education, something that I realized, I think during my visit to St. Nicholas, that was a special request about special needs. And then I realized we don't have such a thing in Sri Lanka, but we have the expertise with Cambridge. So why not, make that workshop, make it for Sri Lanka, and then Dr. Akash came, he did it, and then he's now started doing it across South Asia. Hopefully it will global as well. So that's how we help empower our learners and enrich their futures.
I mean, adding to the inclusive education, I come from LPF schools. We also have inclusive learners in our school as well, and Cambridge has helped us partner with them and also give them that platform to go forward, sit for their O-level exams and sit for their A-level exams, wherein if you follow like a traditional classroom environment, they won't be able to have that power to go and represent themselves. And my first question to Ms. Danum is, if you could share a success story from your school or community where Cambridge education has made a clear difference in a student's journey.
Yes, with me, OKI being a school with 27 years of education experience in Sri Lanka's private school sector, we have definitely sent out hundreds of alumni to the society, to the different parts of the world. But if I am to pick one of the most inspiring most recent alumna, she's Ayesha Gamage. So this girl has been performing in the aesthetic side in the OKI the network. That is mainly she was schooling in Wattala main school. And she had this passion for dancing. So during her years, she was the center of attraction in any puja dance we had in any event. And also she was a trained ballet, I would say. Then Ayesha was learning in the science stream, Cambridge science stream. She did science for her ordinary level examination. When she came to AS level, she could not perform very well at the withdrawal examination. So that was a kind of a barrier for her. But then she sternly asked, she was very ambitious, she said, no, I want to do science, and somehow got our permission to apply for AS examination through school without being a private candidate. So we gave that chance, and she could pass AS and A2, completed her studies, and now she's a graduate in biomedical sciences. She has having completed her BSc honors in biomedical sciences. But during the coursework that she has done, her degree, she had to do a small research or a study on cancer diagnostics. So the findings were really impressive, and she has been invited by the University of Colombo as the youngest PhD student in molecular biology. So I don't know whether she's the youngest PhD student across all the universities in Sri Lanka, but that is one thing. But that is not what makes Ayesha outstanding. But she's also a professional, trained ramp model, and also a trained Canadian dancer and a classical ballet. So she has excelled in both ways. In fact, when I spoke to her last month, she broke the news that she became the Model of the Year 2025. and also won the Colombo Fashion Week New Face 2024. So that really I think Ayesha is the most recent example for holistic education that OKI, having Cambridge curriculum adopted, has produced in the recent years.
I mean, it goes to show how if you don't limit a student to just one path and tell them, oh, you're just a science student or you're just an art student, and give them that
Exactly, yes.
opportunity, they can really show their true potential and excel in many avenues. And Mr. Dayan, moving back to you, sometimes impact goes beyond academics. Could you give me or us an example of a learner who has thrived holistically, not just through their exam results, but in creativity or leadership?
I could give many examples, and I'm sure the educators here also will have so many examples from their schools. But if I'm to just take the recent example, would be the head boy in our school. He was a great leader. I believe some of the skills which he learned from the subject, apart from the subject knowledge, the practicality of the Cambridge syllabus would have helped him in that as being a great team player. And he, in his final years, he was the debating captain. He was in the choir. He was a basketball player, and he did Shakespeare drama. The best part was he did not attend any tuition class as well. And finally, at the recent exam results, he got 2 A stars and 2 A's. So which goes to show that children who do these extra activities and who have a sense of belongingness with the other children do well in their studies finally. So it is not only focusing on the academic part, but which is important where children are given the opportunity to do other activities in school as well.
Thank you very much. And looking at future-ready learners, Ms. Sarah, in your experience, how does the Cambridge curriculum prepare learners for the world beyond school?
All right. So Cambridge has something of their 5 learner attributes, what they want their students to achieve. And I see that very strongly in the learners that we produce. So if I was to break down how they're prepared for life out, is firstly, Cambridge has a strong academic framework, but in addition to that, they also give a lot of flexibility for our students. So when students come in with that, they learn their theory really well. So they are set for their higher education no matter where they're going, whether they're doing it in Sri Lanka or whether they're going abroad. So that makes them extremely confident learners. So that's the first attribute that I believe. Then if we look at the skills that they learn through the Cambridge curriculum, they don't only do rote learning or learning off their textbooks. There are a lot of skills like problem solving, inquiry, critical thinking, a lot of collaboration, room for teamwork and all of that. So we have students who end up becoming extremely, what shall we say, engaging and innovative problem solvers. And lastly, maybe we could think that the learners that we produce are also independent to an extent where they take ownership of their learning, where they are responsible for themselves. So that makes them reflective and responsible learners. So that I think summarizes the 5 attributes that Cambridge gives to our learners while they're in school and which they take with them to the world outside of our school doors.
Thank you very much. And Ms. Zahra, in terms of looking ahead and the future of education in Sri Lanka, we see that education is changing rapidly, and this was discussed by Mr. Arun as well on AI and changing global demands. Where do you see Cambridge education fitting into the future of Sri Lankan schools and Sri Lankan future?
So like I was saying earlier, we are here to make an impact because it can be done. Given the kind of heritage that we have of an 800-year-old university backing us, there are a lot of things that we can bring to the table. So right now, I am a part of certain teams where we work on AI-based lesson planning for teachers. So the Maldives market is currently going through a pilot. South African market's already gone through a pilot. They're now even going into the extent of chatbots helping teachers. So a lot of these new technological advancements are coming through and they'll be brought into our market. The reason why we've got Rod to Arun to Vinay, all the big shots are here. And this is not going to be the only visit. Rod is definitely not going to wait for 40 more years to come back again. He will come back. All of them will come because this is a very important market to us. And in probably the words of my boss Arun, he believes that we can do so much more in Sri Lanka to help the Sri Lankans. So yes, all the innovations that we have on our side, even things like digital mocks to what I showed on my previous slide, all of that's going to come into the market to help the rest of our educators. I think someone was making reference to India again, but let me tell you, the Indian colleagues are the most innovative. So in the South Asian office, they come up with some super solutions. So very soon we'll also be having Climate Quest launched in Sri Lanka, which is a 3-module certification on climate literacy. So that first came up in the South Asian team led by Arun. We've also got a project called Young Pioneers, which encourages entrepreneurship. Again, from the South Asian office, but that's going to come into Sri Lanka as well. So there's a few things lined up, including making English inclusive and accessible, something we've not yet seen in our market. But once it comes, it'll help the wider market in terms of schools as well as the others.
Entrepreneurship and climate resilience is something that's very important to Sri Lanka with what we are going through as a country, and it's very important that you're bringing it in and starting that program off with those 2 topics. And before we open the floor to questions from the media and everyone else who has joined here, I have one last question for all 4 of you. If you had to describe the impact of Cambridge education in Sri Lanka and the Sri Lankan generation in just one word, what would it be and why? This is a very difficult question.
Opportunities. Opportunity to change your life. In Sri Lankan terms, I would even say poverty to prosperity to the ones who are outside the urban areas maybe, because like we heard, English as a skill, which will enable them to get good paying jobs and opportunities to excel wherever they go.
I would say empowerment. It empowers.
I need to borrow 3 more words and say ready for the world.
Okay.
And I think I will go with transformational, because at the end of the day, our learners are transformed. And when they go out into the world out there, they are not just passing out with academics, but they're passing out with values and mindsets where they can contribute to society. So therefore, I believe transformational is my description of Cambridge education.
Thank you very much, all 4 of you, for highlighting the importance of holistic education and how Cambridge can be a pathway to nurturing curious and resilient learners who can make a real difference in the world. We now open the floor to media or anyone else who have questions for our panelists. So I think we've answered all their questions. It's been a very productive morning for all of us here at Cambridge and all the schools that are represented today. And thank you very much for joining us. And thank you very much for taking the time off to answer the questions. And yeah, we can end the panel now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I request the panelists and the moderator to remain on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, why don't we give a good round of applause for a successful conversation as Cambridge is in Sri Lanka and leading the future. And now it's time to give away tokens of appreciation. And yes, I don't have to invite. She's already on the job. So Zara Ansari will now present tokens of appreciation to the panelists. Thank you very much, Mr. Dan Fernando, Coordinating Principal, Mitchell International School, Ms. Sarah Hussain, Principal, Ilma International Girls School, Ms. Banum Abesekara, Director, Coordinating Principal, OKI International School, and also we would like to thank our moderator, Ms. Bhutmi Fernando, Program Coordinator of Bridge to Peace Schools, IGCSE Geography teacher. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And panelists, let's come for a nice group photograph. Nice group photograph. I can see how everyone's in a rush to just finish off and run off, but all right, thank you very much. With that, ladies and gentlemen, to bring the event to a close, I now cordially invite Dhananjaya, the manager marketing. We call him DJ. So DJ, over to you to close the ceremony.
As Cambridge in Sri Lanka, leading the future, event comes to an end. It's a pleasure to stand on this stage today. And I would like to take this moment to thank the senior leadership from Cambridge and all the invitees, including the school leaders, educators, and even the media, for being a part of this milestone event. And in this journey, I would like to express my gratitude here today for all the schools, all the English institutions who are part of Cambridge as of right now. And I would like to take this moment to warmly welcome the others to be a part of Cambridge in Sri Lanka, the legacy of over 800 years across 160 countries with over 10,000 schools, educating nearly 1 million learners. And in that note, I would also like to emphasize the fact that as of right now, Sri Lanka has renewed leadership, the global and South Asian support throughout, and also the global guidance. With that, we will be a force to reckon with. And in that note, once again, thank you all, thank you everyone for being a part of this milestone event. And good afternoon, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Dhananjaya. Ladies and gentlemen, with that we mark the end of Cambridge in Sri Lanka, leading the future. It might be the end of this event, but leading the future pathway starts now, starts today with the cooperation of all of you. So let's have a good round of applause one more time to Cambridge in Sri Lanka, and we wish you all the very best, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good afternoon.